The views shared by our guests are their own and don't necessarily reflect those of the host, sponsors, or any affiliated groups. What you hear on this podcast is meant to inspire and inform. It's not intended as medical, psychological, or professional advice. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust your own inner guidance. Hi, this is Janie, and welcome to Waking Up One. My guest today, Amanda Steadman, is going to share with us how to move your life from struggle to flow. She is a practicing hypnotherapist. She also channels. She's a Reiki master. She's author of some best-selling books on Amazon, and she has a whole bunch of wisdom to share with us. So stick around. I think you're going to love this episode. So, Amanda, welcome to Waking Up One. I am thrilled to have you on the show today.
Hi, it's great to be here, Janie. Thank you so much for having me.
So, Amanda, I would love to know more about how you got to where you are today as a hypnotherapist and your backstory. So, share a little of that with us.
Yes, of course, Janie. Well, when I was 20, unfortunately, I lost my mum to ovarian cancer. And I remember her telling me a quick story. A counsellor said to her, well, I hope you enjoy the time you have left, Mrs. Steadman. Now, this is before she got ill. Her mum died of ovarian cancer when she was 16, and her sister died of ovarian cancer 6 months before this counsellor made the comment. And that little thought went into her subconscious mind, and within 6 months, she had full-blown ovarian cancer, stage 4. And the doctors were told by my dad never to let her know that she only had 3 weeks to live. She fought for 15 months. And after going through that, losing her at 20, she was like, she was my coach. She was everything. She was a strong Scottish lady. She was an entrepreneur. She bought houses. She'd built businesses. She was an amazing woman and a fabulous mother. And so it was a bloody great hole in my life. And then I went traveling. I took 2 years out. Luckily, she left me a little bit of money, so I used that money to travel. And people kept handing me different books, The Celestine Prophecy. And then the one that made a huge difference was Louise L. Hay's book, Love Yourself, Heal Your Life. And when I got to the back on ovaries, it was like not nurturing yourself, always over giving and serving everybody else. And I was like, that's my mum. I wonder if there's a connection. And then the dots started to join. Is there a connection between mind and body? Oh my gosh, yes. And can the medical profession sometimes get it wrong? Yes. So that started the quest on the mind-body connection for me. And I thought, how can I learn more? I became a Louise L. Hay teacher. Then that pushed me into Reiki, which is healing primarily with your hands and your energy. And everybody can do Reiki, really. But there's an initiation process to really connect your mind to do that. And when that happened, I felt like somebody had opened my head and done something, put the lid back on. And once I became a Reiki master, my life really started to change. Then when you're in those circles, you get to talk to other people. What helps people heal? What helps people make the fastest changes? And in 1999, I became a life coach. Back then, no one was a life coach. And now everyone is a life coach. Right. So I was avant-garde back then. Isn't it true? Everyone's a life coach now. And I got very frustrated. I love people and I love transformation, but I kept saying to clients, hey, do this, do that. And they'd come back 2 weeks later and they won't have done it. They won't have made the sales calls. They won't have contacted potential 5 new clients. They're just in the same position as they were a couple of weeks before. And so I thought, how can I get them to make changes? And then I came across a guy called Jonathan Chase. Unfortunately, he died last year. And he was my first hypnotherapy teacher. And he was essentially Britain's greatest hypnotist. He was a stage hypnotist, but went into hypnotherapy later. And then I discovered that you can change people in like 10 minutes. He gave me some great techniques, especially induction. You can do it very quick, or you can do it slow. And you can take people's perception of, okay, I'm scared of spiders. You get them to a nice relaxed state. You speak to their subconscious and say, hey, why don't we make the spiders in your mind that are really big, really small, really tiny, so that you're completely in control, and then bring them back. And then their perception has completely changed. So what I do is I go in and change the perception, then come out again. I really believe it's like being a computer. We're very much like computers. If you've got viruses and files that are outdated, that aren't working properly, a hypnotherapist can go in, rearrange the files, delete ones that aren't working for you, and then get your computer, your mind and your body working again. So when I discovered that, I thought, this is modern day magic. Everybody should be doing this. And that was 25 years ago.
Wow. And here we are. And you also channel. And I have had the pleasure of coming to your hypnotherapy sessions. You do group sessions, and we all lay on the floor and you begin to talk us down and have this lovely music playing. And I can feel energy when you come around and you channel. The first time you did it, I was like, whoa, I could really feel it in my body. Talk a little bit more about what is that and how did that all come to be? That's definitely a little different than hypnotherapy. So
It is. And I did that for many, many years. And then in 2019, I was working with a client, and then I could feel this pressure in my chest. And I thought, what is going on? What is that? And then this language came out. So I was in the framework of what I usually do for hypnotherapy. I think it was clearing past. It was clearing the past. And then this language came through, and I didn't understand exactly what it was saying, but I had this feeling that it was clearing something for that person. I felt this kind of clearing energy. And I thought, well, I'm just going to roll with what this is. This is weird. And at the end, the client said, what was that? And I said, I don't know. It's the first time it's come through. And he said, when that came through, he said, I felt something at the back of my head and something like pressure on my chest. And he said, then everything eased. And then I thought, okay, this is obviously a step further than Reiki. This is like coming through from consciousness. Mm-hmm. So for a while, I didn't really discuss it with anyone other than clients because I was already woo-woo, and this made me more woo-woo. But I just embraced it. Then I started to do research. And because I am already a Reiki master, and my mind is connected to consciousness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Consciousness is electricity. Let's just think of consciousness as electricity. There's something in my brain that when I just surrender the control to that impulse that's coming through, then it clicks into this channel like I'm tuning into a completely different TV station. And then the language comes through. And it started to happen with clients all the time. So what I was doing, I just developed my own process. Before the person came, I would send a message up to I call them the divine team, the conscious team that looks after you, because there is one, whether you like it or not, you have a divine team. Trust me, 25 years, I know this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I just said, hey, this person's coming to me. You sent me this person. They need something. So whatever it is, I'm the channel. Allow it to come through me. Allow those frequencies and codes to come through me so that we heal or help that person upgrade. Basically, it's upgrading. And so I started to do that, and then it sounds like different languages come through for different people. There's an overall language, which is my language or my coding that comes through. And then I do feel, I'm just going to use the word divine beings, divine energies that come in for specific people. I'm not a medium or a clairvoyant by any stretch of the imagination, but when I click into this, when I'm tuning into someone, I do sometimes a relative comes through and they give me an actual message. Sometimes it's one of their guides from a previous past time, because time's all coordinated together, and they'll be saying, pass this message on, or they'll just be sending energy. They'll be looking at me. I'll see an actual face, but I'll feel the energy going through me, and it goes into the person. So the language is coming through me, and it is, again, the more research I've done, it is what we call sacred geometry, sacred coding, but it's coming through in a frequency, in a sound format. And for those of you that have been around 20 years, sound healing is becoming more and more frequent. Your sound technology, light technology, all these different technologies using sound and light are coming into the medical sphere now. It's being proven to work. Even red light therapy that people laughed at 20 years ago, it's in most beauty salons and medical dermatologists now. These sound and light frequencies are becoming mainstream, which is amazing. Some people that channel or can connect to consciousness, they can transcribe, or they understand exactly what's coming through in that language, and everybody receives it in different ways. For me, I'm more clairsentient. I feel things like, just before this call, I just dealt with somebody that's got multiple sclerosis. And at the end, I had like pain all the way across the back of my head. And as I was channeling, my whole body was doing this. So when it comes through very powerfully, my body literally is just a vessel, and I allow it to come through, and then I transmute. It comes through my body, and then I transmute it out. So I've been doing it for about 6 years now, and it changes every time. I can just equate it. The best way I can explain it is electricity, and it's a channel that you can turn on and off. And I do believe that everybody can do it. But if I could teach you how to do it, I would do it. I haven't had the instructions for that yet, but I'm assuming that at the right time they will download, like so many other things. This book actually downloaded behind me, in this book as well. They were both downloaded. So when the time is right for you, wherever you are in your journey, things will arrive. I just trust that the right things will arrive at the right time.
Right. I love that. That is, and letting go and being able to trust is a relaxing thing. I mean, it's like if you stop trying to control everything and go with the flow, it's like riding a raft down a river rather than trying to row the boat upstream. And
I would totally agree with that. The
yeah,
more that you allow, for sure. And as you know, in the meditations, Jenny, I always get everybody to really let go and to focus on yourself, because we spend so much time worrying about what other people think, what we're doing, trying to hold everything together. But when you're in that meditation space or the hypnosis space, it's all about you, your subconscious, and your divine team. What are you here for? And the people they've sent me the last 6 months, there's a lot of dark energy out there and depression and all kinds of different conditions. And I'm being handed more and more difficult cases.
mhm,
I just trust that the person has found me for a reason,
yeah.
and I'm just bringing them back into alignment. They know how to heal themselves. I think my intuition, I believe, is I'm uncovering their activation codes to be able to heal themselves. And the other thing I've noticed is many people that come to me become healers or
Mm,
more light beings after they've come to see me. So I've activated ancient wisdom in there somewhere that's allowing them to be a healer. Not everyone's a healer in the direct sense. Like one of my beautiful clients is a musical director, but she is healing people through her work with church and her clients through her music. So it
mm,
happens with everybody in different ways. Sometimes it's just a mum that's stressed, and when we activate something in her, she's going back to her family and allowing her family to be more calm and more stable. The other thing I've noticed is breaking of karmic and ancestral cycles. Again, I didn't deal with that 20 years ago, but the last year with the rise in consciousness, a lot of people's guides are coming to me to say, hey, she's the cycle stopper. Can you download what we need to so the cycles can stop and we don't have any more of the family or ancestral trauma? So that's another pattern that I've seen over the last 6 months to a year. And again, I'm just allowing, I'm trusting that whatever comes my way is what I'm supposed to deal with.
it seems like there is a big shift happening. And the folks that I've had on my podcast, as well as in my own intuitive state, and I'm also a Reiki master. I do yoga nidra, a little different than hypnosis, but a similar energy where they're resting deeply and going into sort of those theta and delta brainwave states. And I've had people report very interesting experiences when we've had that, as well as I do gong and sound bowls and things like that. So yeah, I can completely relate that all of these things used to be so strange, and now there's so many people doing them. And I feel like there's a reason for that. I feel like we're all starting to discover this as a collective whole. And it when you start to raise your own vibration, you raise the vibrations of those around you. So you come in with your high vibration, and I think you're raising other people's vibrations. Does that sound accurate from what you've experienced with folks that work with you? When you say you've seen them have major shifts and changes and things, do you think it's a vibratory shift, or what causes that in people?
Yeah, I think it is. And the more that you get out of your own way and you just really tune into the fact that you are whatever your beliefs are. I mean, I trust and respect all religions, but in the work that I'm doing, once you leave this physical body, everybody's one. We are one. And it's all love. It circles right back down to love. And love is a frequency. Love is a vibration. It's 500 hertz and above. And appreciation is even higher than that. And evidence of this is when I go back. The last 2 times I've gone back to the UK, last summer and this summer, because my vibration's so high, as soon as I arrive in that country, everything goes according to plan. Everyone's so nice. Everything, I get free stuff, transport runs on time. It's just incredible. And everybody's so nice because I'm coming with a very high frequency. I think sometimes, particularly that country, everything's controlled. A lot of things are a lower frequency, especially coming from a high frequency where we live, Janie. And it just shows that when you're in that higher frequency, you are living in a different vibratory state, and everything that's happening around you, you are creating in a higher, loving, more vibratory state. And I've noticed that much more the last year than ever before. And I've known it consciously for many years, but when you're embodying it and you're seeing your reality change in front of you, that's when you go, freaking Nora, this stuff is real. I've read it in books and heard it from all those famous people in our metaphysical circles, but now I'm seeing it, I'm feeling it, and embodying it. So the more work I do in the group meditations and hypnosis with people, I think the more I'm channeling, the higher I'm going. And then people are finding me from absolutely nowhere. I'm always amazed how people find me. I don't really do that much marketing. Got outside the fire and people still find me, and that just blows me away. So to answer your question, I think it's becoming much more mainstream. And then if you go into way out history of Lemuria and Atlantis and places like that, sound, allegedly they're now saying that sound moved those stones into place, like Stonehenge, Easter Island, that they believe sound frequencies were the only thing that could have moved things that are that heavy. So it just blows my little human mind what's actually possible. And I think there's a lot more that's coming over the next 1 to 3 years, even more mind-blowing stuff. Again, all of our knowledge is going into AI, all the consciousness stuff. And I think AI, again, is going to come out with some very interesting conclusions as to how sound is going to bring us into a completely different dimension, a different timeline.
Yeah. And so for people, like you said, you went to the UK and things just flowed and you had great synchronicities and things ran on time and things worked. When you find that that's not happening in your life, and people find themselves like that, you get in the car and you drive and you hit all the lights red and the slow person gets in front of you. And then you go to the store and you pick the wrong lane and you're, the lanes next to you go through and you're still standing here with your 3 items and the person in front of you's got price checks and whatever happens, So when it feels like it's not flowing in your life, when people find themselves in that space, what advice would you give them?
I think everybody's different, and I go through lows as well as highs. I mean, sometimes those moons and the astrology this year has thrown me off course. I've had a couple of health challenges as well, which is a healer. I'm like, how can that possibly happen to me? I'm high vibration. So I always get surprised when I get thrown one. Being here, I go to the beach. I go right into nature. I go and stand on the grass and I really connect to the center of the earth. We forget that this is a living planet. It's not just a rock with some trees on it. It's a living, breathing entity. So I just connect right to that and go, hey, I'm feeling a bit low vibe. Can you recharge me? And the sea works every time. The beach, when my feet are in that sand, there's the frequency coming up from the earth into your bare feet is phenomenal. I know for some people in our colder countries, that's not going to be so easy. So go and hug a tree. Whatever you can do to touch and connect with nature does it for me personally. Now, for some people, it's putting classical music on. For some people, it's being in the zone in the gym. Whenever you get into that state where you are just not thinking and you are just, it might be a cup of tea for someone or hot chocolate.
Yeah.
But for me, it is nature. And I did feel a bit like that when I had some challenges, Janie. I couldn't actually do the last date that Janie asked because I had some sun damage and I'd had a big nitrogen treatment on my face. So this was out here. And I could have been courageous and done it. I did do a live YouTube with it, but I just thought it's Janie's podcast. I'd rather have a slightly smaller scar by then, which I do. It's smaller now. I didn't even put any makeup on it.
Yeah.
I just thought I'm going to be me, but at least it's not a big scab this time. And I really had to recalibrate. I had to go, what is it? And I realized it was something in my family that I hadn't healed. And so I've been working on that the last 3 weeks. And I have some other damn little spots here, but you know what? I'm healing them. They're getting smaller and smaller just with intention and some calendula oil. And I'm like, I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to heal those wounds. And that's exactly what I've done. But standing in nature and being one with nature and meditating again. I doubled my meditation the last 2 weeks to just go, hey, I surrender. So the other part of that is getting into the Zen part. And the biggest element for me, and for those of you that are out there, is just surrender. Your divine team have much bigger plans than what you think. So if you surrender into that and just allow yourself to be, no matter how stressed you are, 9 times out of 10, a solution just presents itself because you're allowing yourself to get out of the way. So whatever negative emotions are running now, where is your zen? Where's your happy place? Go to your happy place, and then from there, just keep expanding it and allowing, if you can, your heart space. Just imagine your heart is expanding. Send as much love as you can to your heart. That's the main control device alongside your brain, and just play with it. Make it a game, make it fun. How can I be happy? How can I be 1% happier? How can I be 1% more grateful? And you will, because it isn't that you do go into a negative spiral. How can you get that spiral going up?
Going the other way. Yeah.
Going the other way.
Yeah. And that's true. Just simply thinking about something that you're grateful for. And it can be something as simple as a breath. I'm able to breathe in. Or there's a beautiful sun coming through my window and I can feel the warmth of the sun, or just something little and simple. Because sometimes you feel so overwhelmed in a situation, if it's your health or a matter with family or work that's a big matter, because some things are little and it's easy to go, all right, I'm just going to breathe through it and I'm going to let it go. But some stuff, it's harder to let go of. It kind of clings to you, and you have to work at it a little bit, but like you say, in a way that makes you feel happy or peaceful, or just take your mind off it, go do something that makes you feel calm. And I like that. Thank you for that. Yeah. And nature. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We are so lucky here. When I go back to Colorado, I can't put my feet in the ground because it's too cold, but I can go sit under a tree and I can touch a tree, and I can breathe with the trees releasing, or even just look at it through my window sometimes if it's too cold, with that little warm cup of tea. So
yeah, anything that just gets you to that peaceful, that calm state. And when you're in that state as well, the other thing is, for some of you that are still working with your intuition, we have all the innate intelligence we need. Honestly, it's all kind of there. So when you're in that Zen state and you're kind of calm, just whatever question, like Janie says, if you've got something big that's happening with a relationship or work, just say, hey guys, I don't know what to do. Should I take this job? Should I not take this job? Should I tell my boss about it? Should I not tell my boss about it? When you're asking that question, say, should I tell my boss about it? And then just be quiet and still. And then see, your body will say a yes or no. Usually if it's a yes, it feels like a little bit lighter. And then if it's a no, you'll feel like a very slight sinking feeling in your tummy. Now, everybody's different. So you've got to really listen to your body. But that's just an example for me. If it's a no, I feel like a sinking or a slightly more negative feeling. And if it's a yes, I feel slightly lighter. So for those of you that are making big decisions, really trust your intuition. Ask your brain, ask your body to show you, is it a yes or a no? And ask those big, heavy questions, because you will get the answer. The answer's already there. You just need to be quiet enough to be able to listen to what your body and your mind's telling you, because we get so busy, we're so distracted with social media, with AI, with working, that you need to take that quiet time. And I'm seeing the generation, my children's generation, being alone or quiet, they don't like it. They like to have a phone on, they like to have YouTube on in the background and something. And I'm like, how can you focus with those three things going? It's incredible. So the generations behind us are very different. So if that's you, find your own way. But for some of us that are a little bit more mature, we like that quiet, or we like classical music, or we want to stare at a tree. And then we ask those questions. What is the right answer for me? And just listen.
And I agree with you 100% that the answer is out there, and that our bodies are barometers. They are messengers to us. Like you said, there's ways that you feel. And for me, it's kind of similar. I can feel like if my gut feels, I would say, like a trepidation almost in my gut, that usually is a sign, don't do it. And then if I don't feel that, if I feel sort of a sense of calm, maybe a more openness, then that's like, yeah, it's a 100% yes, and then there's those times when you can't tell. I get a little of both. And that's when it's much harder. And I think that's when you need to get really quiet. And like you say, tune into nature. And I had another guest on talking about our guide, our team out there that helps us. And she said the same thing you said. We all have them. But she said they can only help you if you allow, and if you ask them. That they're hands off sometimes, because if you're closing them off, they can't help you. But to open to that assistance too, and say, hey, out there, my team, my posse, she called them, she said, we all have a posse. Hello, posse. I'm open. I'm open to your help. I'm open to your guidance, and then see what comes through, or what you. Sometimes it's a sign. It's a song on the radio, or a book that falls off of your shelf, and opens to a page, and you're like, oh wow. Or somebody has cards, and they're like, here, let me pull a card for you, and it's like, oh my gosh. Around here in Playa, everybody's pulling cards for each other. So it's like everywhere you go, there's a card. It's like, oh, sit down here. Would you like a card? We have that a little bit in Denver too. When you go to sound baths and stuff, sometimes there's cards that you can pull, and it's amazing what the cards will tell you. It's like, wow, that was my message. And you'll see somebody else's, and you're like, yeah, no, this is my message. That's your message. And it's interesting how we open ourselves to it, and it comes. So I love that.
I think with the intuition as well. I was even walking down the street the other day. A couple of times this has happened in Playa. And I've just subconsciously said, what do I need to know today? And I was walking on the street, and a guy came past saying Virgos are the best. And it was around my birthday time, and I thought, yeah, that's a really cool message. Virgos are the best. I thought I just needed to. That was literally a couple of weeks before my birthday. And then last week, I can't remember exactly what he said. There's another guy past me, and it was like, remember to enjoy life to the max.
Aww.
And I was like, such another nice message. When I had this nitrogen work done on my face, I was petrified. I'm not very good with pain. Doctors in white coats, and they wanted to do another one wanted to do a biopsy, and I went, no way, you're going to do that and sew my face back up. And I said, what's the next best thing? And she went, liquid nitrogen. She said, I'll just go and get it. So she went out of the room, and in that couple of minutes while she went to get it, I just went into my hypnotic state, and I said, guys, please help me. I don't want to feel the pain. Just get me through the next few minutes, please. Anyway, I could feel my body relaxing instead of tensing. I thought, this is going to be fine. If I've had 2 children in childbirth, I'm sure I can get through a nitrogen treatment. Yeah. So she came back and she goes, this is going to hurt. And I thought, that's not a good frame to use. Yeah. Anyway, so it started, and it was obviously quite painful. But then I just allowed the pain to melt away. And as I was compartmentalizing the pain, a song comes over in the background. And this is a song from a chill out album from 2003 that is played super rare. I've heard it maybe twice in 20 years. Comes over the radio, and it's a song that me and my husband used to make love to when we first got together 22 years ago. And I was trying not to laugh as she's doing this, not I don't want to move. Yeah. And inside I'm chuckling, going, guys, is that supposed to be funny? Is that funny, really? And they're obviously trying to let me know that no matter what happens, my husband will still love me, even if I've got this, all the thoughts that were going through my head. And that was them just saying, we're here. It's okay, because my body did scream out, do not do the nitrogen treatment. My intuition was going, no, but I'd been to 5 different dermatologists, and I was like, guys, we need to deal with this. We've tried to heal that particular one myself, and it's not working. Sometimes we have to cave to Western medicine. Okay. Sometimes you do, guys. And then I thought that was a big thumbs up from the universe that, yes, this is going to be okay. It's going to heal, and you're good. We're right here. Because I don't think that song would have played anywhere else at that time.
A sense of humor. Yeah, their sense of humor. They have a sense of humor. Oh, yeah.
They do have a sense of humor. Yeah.
For sure. So I'm getting, from my intuition, to ask you more about the dark energy. And what can we do about it as a collective?
In a really simple nutshell, is to keep your vibration as high as possible by meditating, by staying connected to nature, by loving yourself and not judging other people. The collective, the matrix at the moment it's all fear-based. It's been fear for thousands of years. The powers that be, dark forces are, unfortunately, it's mostly government. The 7 richest families in the world who control the food chain, who control the pharmaceutical industry, who control the banks. Whoever controls the banks controls the world. It's unfortunately, that's the way it is. So we have to live around those parameters and stay as much out of it as we possibly can. And on top of that, we have where there's light, there's dark. So we have positive energy like myself and you and probably the people that are watching this. And there are negative entities and negative energy. Just like you have positive and negative with magnets. And so with negative energy, it can attach itself to somebody positive and can drain their energy. So I practice protection. I was taught by my mentor to put a golden pyramid of light around me and to ask my divine guides to protect me 24/7 from anything that's negative and anything that might want to attach itself to me. I think the higher vibration you are, the less likely it is to happen. And you've just got to believe that your team are there to make sure that you are protected and that you stay at that higher vibration level. And as we spoke, if somebody is spiraling down, it's easier for negativity to attach because it's got something to work with if you're spiraling down. So people that have depression, if you go into the real extreme cases of being possessed, then that negative energy has essentially potentially taken over that person. And there are celebrities and other people in high positions that have those entities that are attached to them. I try not to focus on it because I don't want to bring more of it into my life, but
Right.
I've had people that have come to me that have asked me to remove those negative energies from them. So I just call in their team, and again, like they're requesting help. So those teams are allowed to intervene and are allowed to transmute that energy. So if you just see everything as energy, there's good energy, there's bad energy. There's good energy and good people and bad people. And I just ask that negative energy that it's not welcome and it has to transmute into light or it has to leave. Only light is welcome, and that's it. That's basically how it works. But if you keep yourself in a protective golden triangle or a golden pyramid, that will really help.
I don't know, normally I don't even like to broach that subject either, but when you brought it up, it was like, we need to know about the shield, I think, that we do have, whether it's a golden triangle, pyramid, bubble. I've heard the pink bubble as well. It's whatever I think you feel you can put on that gives you like a power to block out what's not okay to bring in. And again, that asking for help. And remember that we can do that we are not alone in this. And so I think it's important because, you brought it up that there are a lot of people dealing with that. And I don't know, I think it needs to be out there, and then we'll just put it out there and leave it at that, I think. So, so thank you for that.
Do protection. So just, I invoke the powers of light to protect me 24/7, and divine team protect me 24/7. I ask you to intervene. I ask you to keep me safe and my family safe. And you can imagine a big ball of white light around you as well. But the golden pyramid works really well. So those light golden pyramid, and ask your guides for protection.
Yeah. Very, very, very good. And I'm sure you do this as well when you work with people.
Yeah, all the time. And the meditations as well, I do it before people come. So I clean the space before people come. And obviously when we're in that, I always say, your energy stays your energy, my energy stays my energy. We share energy for the purpose of that space. Then anything else that's negative or negative residue, transmute across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And then we all go on with our higher vibration energy.
Yeah. So what else would you like to share about, I think, just the time that we're in? And we've talked about being in nature, raising your vibration. What if people are kind of drawn to these healing modalities, either to heal or to learn how to do them? What advice would you give to people?
I would just say, again, put out the intention, hey, I'm being attracted to these healing modalities. Who do I need to know? What do I need to do next? What's my next step? And then if you're putting that intention out there, what tends to happen is a teacher will turn up, or a friend will say, I'm going to this, or I'm going to this, and you end up going. And then you'll meet somebody else that goes, oh, I'm a Reiki master, or oh, I'm a biomagnet practitioner, or oh, I'm a sound healer. And I would go out, I'd practice. So if you've got healers around you that can do these modalities, if you're drawn to one in particular, go and have a session with a hypnotherapist, go and have a session with a sound healer, do a sound session with Janie and see what resonates with you. You'll get a really kind of usually tickly feeling in your heart when it's the right thing for you and you get the right nudges. I was literally pushed forward for being a Louise L. Hay teacher, it all lined up. Same with the Reiki. I traveled the world, 30 years ago, and I got to Singapore and I met these two girls at the traffic lights and they looked just like me. We ended up doing, literally a couple of years later, they were from Ireland, and we ended up doing Reiki together like 2 or 3 years later. And my friend Jane, she had this activation years before me. In 2010, she got ME, that one where you can't move and you have no energy. ME, I forgot what it stands for. Anyway, this came through to her, so she started healing herself. It was called total body conditioning, I think. And I remember coming to my wedding in St. Martin in 2011 and her doing it on me. And in my mind, I was going, that's just weird. And she was standing above me doing what I do now.
Oh, wow.
It took me 8 years to catch up until it was the right time for me. But she was activated a lot earlier because she had an illness that she had to deal with. And so she was pushed down that route. Many of us, I think we have to suffer loss or an illness. Not every single time, people, but we have that awakening where we go, oh, we need to change something. We need to do something about this. And so that channeling skill came through. I didn't have a breakdown or anything. It just came through the work. So obviously it was the right time for me to use that. It did take me 3 years to have the courage to use it publicly. I wasn't still sure, was it working? Is it just my imagination? But it was doing really strong things. So by then I was like, no, I need to share this. And my guides kept saying, you've got this for a reason. Stop being shy. Get over yourself. It's not about you. Get on with healing people. So I did what I was told. So if you're getting that nudge, you're feeling the call, talk to Janie, talk to me, and we'll see if we can put you on the right path.
And it's funny how hitting a low point sometimes is the best thing that happens to people. And I don't think, like you said, you have to get to a low point to raise your vibration or find something that changes your life. It can be a nice lake rather than a tsunami to get you there. But I still think that for a lot of people, you do hear about, well, I went through this horrible, terrible time. And that's when I rose up and I realized it's the phoenix rising from the ashes. I mean, it's that old story that we've had all the time. So in our mythology.
Yeah, I was just going to rise on the back of that, which is this book here, Authentic Success, Connect to Authentic Success. In 2010, well, basically we'd lost our company, we'd lost everything. We'd moved into a small apartment in France because we couldn't afford to pay for the one in London. And we went to the gynecologist, and when we came back, basically the apartment had been broken into and they'd taken literally everything. We were already down 40,000 with literally nothing left. And they took my engagement ring, my watch, computers, the iPods, everything. All they left is literally underwear.
Oh my gosh.
At that point, I was on my knees going, okay, guys, I get the hint. Physical possessions, because my husband and I worked really hard to build a company. We'd bought properties, we'd done all of that stuff. And it wasn't about owning it so much. It was about our definition of success was we'll only be successful if we've made $1 million, And that was when I was 7 months pregnant at the time, first child, and we had nothing. We couldn't even afford money for Christmas dinner. And I just got on my knees and went, okay, guys, I get the message. I promise I will write a book on how I come back from this. I promise. And so 2 years later, after the birth of my second child, that book kind of downloaded. And it's really funny because the book behind, this is a Pin and the Magic Butterflies. That book downloaded 2 weeks before I started channeling.
Wow. So that's the
whole content of the book, the story, I wrote it as fast as I could. And it took me about 3 minutes to write the outline of the story, pretty much the words. And I cried when I reread it back to myself. Oh. And then I got my children to do the pictures and we put the whole thing together and we launched it 6 years ago. They haven't downloaded any books. They've keep giving me ideas, but they haven't given me the download of the actual book, although I did get some stuff the other night. So I don't think it's my time to finish another book yet, but it's coming.
Years ago, I was a musician and I used to play a lot, and songs would just come. And some of the best ones were the ones that the whole thing came, and it's like, it just comes from, I would call it the muse back then. And, it's like, yeah, it's divine source comes through and gives you these beautiful creative things that you get to share, and then you have to choose to share them. That's the part that I think can be difficult for people. So when you got these downloads, was it really easy for you to just write the book or was it kind of like, I want to publish this or get this out? What did you go?
With the one, it was so good I couldn't wait to get it out there. I mean, I it downloaded in October and I had it in Amazon and uploaded to Amazon and launched by the first week of December. It happened really fast. With the other one, because it was a self-development book, it took me a long time. And being a Virgo, I kept changing it, improving it, rewriting it for like a year. And then 12 hours before I launched it, I was still annoying my Ukrainian editor by changing things last minute. And I just had to let it go. And then I did, that's the second version. The first version was launched in 2013. And sorry, it took 3 years. Sorry, not 2 years. Yeah, it was March, so 2.5 years. And then I relaunched it again in Playa, the new version, the red cover, which was in 2017, because I felt I needed a bit more of a spiritual overlay. Because the first one was a bit more kind of dry, goal setting kind of nature. This one was more, I put more emotion into it. Yeah.
We're more open to that too. I think you and I are from a similar era where in the 80s and 90s it was all go, 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 and get that title and make that money. And now we're way more open to the spiritual side of things, I think, is it?
And I was very much a type A, make it happen. I came across Tony Robbins and Brian Tracy in the 90s. And I remember taking my I was in sales when I started. I was in recruitment, and I took my sales from £14,000 a year to 38,000 within 18 months. So I used all the principles I'm using now back then, but I didn't know I was really using them by just total belief in myself. And I used to drive around my car because Brian Tracy used to say, I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. And for myself, I was like, I love myself. I like myself. And everywhere I went, people did business with me because they could feel my energy. But back then, I just thought I was a really good salesperson.
Right. And here it's an energy shift, and everything is energy. We keep coming back to that. I think every episode, every guest, we come back to that. It's all energy. It's vibration. Yeah.
It's just about who you are. So I think, the biggest message I've got for people is just really be you. Just like that, connect to authentic success. I wrote that 12 years ago. I was ahead of my time. No one was using the word authentic back then, and now everybody uses it. I was ahead of my time. So the thing I would say to people now is just tune into, your frequency. What is your highest, best frequency? And by doing that, all the things we've talked about today, get into that state of really loving yourself, really liking yourself, what makes you happy, and use that as a foundation for all the relationships you have in your life, whatever you're going to do with business. The last couple of years, people kept saying, do the high ticket sales, Amanda. You've built businesses, you've sold them, do the business coaching. I really tried hard to do the business coaching. And I'm a salesperson, but it just was not resonating at all. And after a lot of time spent on very expensive, high-level, high-ticket courses, I came back round to, I love my hypnotherapy, I love my meditations, I love my healing work. And I know I can package those into 50 grand packages for a year to work with me one-to-one and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of pressure comes with the high-ticket sales that people don't understand. And I know that they go, it's not hard work. I'm like, I see how you're running 3-day things, and I know the stress that comes with that. And my children were just not seeing me. So I took a step back from all of that and went, you know what, I'm just going to do what feels really good. And I love creating books. I love creating meditations. I love my one-to-one work with my people here physically. So I'll just do that. And since I've done that, the business is just coming again without me having to do too much, because I just love what I do. I don't do what I do for the money. I charge what I think is a good, fair amount. I always like to charge more, but in Mexico, as you know, so I'm trying to do my best to get more international clients, because the Mexican will have a different scale of payment. Yeah, I'm just really, really happy. My children see me. I've got a balance between what I do and what I do online. And I just feel really blessed to finally know what I'm supposed to be doing, when I'm supposed to be doing it, and how I'm supposed to be doing it. And there's a real sense of fulfillment and peace that comes with that. So wherever you are on your journey, figure out what is your joy point, what brings you joy, and how can that money just come in with it. You might have to do 2 things, have a full-time job and run the thing on the side, but just get into that joy. And when you let that start to creep into more and more areas of your life, then that's when the money consciousness will come. Because at the end of the day, it's my life force energy. I'm exchanging my life force energy for that healing for someone. And that life force energy should be returned. And for those healers out there that are working really hard, or you're in a corporate job, adopt a new belief. Why don't you just adopt a new belief? Like, I get paid to be here. I get paid to just be me. I get paid to exist. If you adopt that belief and embody it to every part of your soul, I guarantee that you'll make money without working as hard. I promise you. Done it.
I love that because that is a question a lot of artists have, a lot of healers, yoga teachers, folks that are doing these things. There's this seed that I think it's planted in us, and that, well, it's not right to charge money for a healing or for yoga, or it's supposed to be free. You should be helping people. And it's like, yeah, it's good to help people, but you also have to eat. You have to be able to help yourself, so finding that balance. And I really love what you said, to find your joy point. And I want a t-shirt that says, find your joy point, because when you find that, and it may not be what makes you money right away, but it might lead you down the road that's going to make you happy. And it took me a while too. I was in a couple of jobs and the universe took them both away from me. I finally got the title. I finally got, and I was stressed and working a lot, but it was like, oh yeah, I felt like I had all that, and yanked it away from me twice in a row. And the first time I didn't deal with it well. The second time I had more tools, and I was like, why is this happening? I think I know why. I think I need to let go of that need. That's not important to me. It's not. I think it's important to me because somewhere I learned that, not because I felt in my heart that I had to be a vice president of something, or, and so letting that go was liberating. And since I've let it go, I'm fine. It's like, and knowing what makes me happy, and a need versus a want, and how much do you really need versus what you just want. And if it's something that brings you joy, that's different than if you think you need it because society says you do.
Exactly. So we go full circle background to tuning to yourself. And we know it consciously, but now it's time to do it. And the more you tune into yourself, the more you can protect yourself from everything else that's going on out there. When I did a lot of full-time training courses, I'd always draw the circle. You draw the circle here on the board, this one circle here, then the circle here, second circle, and then another circle out here. So out here is what's happening with the world. Yeah, this is the globe. And then this circle in is your community, your families. And then right in the center is you. That's the only thing you can ever control. But lots of people trying to spend time on the outer ring here and that the next ring out. Nothing external is going to make you happy. Right. You can be there tomorrow, and then something, and that partner, that relation, nothing can make you happy unless you choose it yourself. Right. So you have the control, and you are one thought away from everything you need. You're one thought away from, you can just decide right now, do you know what? Everything I have in my life is enough. I am so amazing, and everything's amazing. I have everything I need. So if you just go around all day long saying, I have everything I need, how much difference is that going to make in your life? I have everything I need. I am so lucky. Just that one thought, and you embody that for the next month, I promise you, your entire existence will change from that one thought change. One. Isn't that cool?
That is so cool. That is so cool. Yes. I love it. And I think that's a really great place to wrap up this chat. You have given us so much. Thank you, Amanda. And once again, tell us the names of your books, where folks can find you, and if they want to work with you, where would they go?
Okay, perfect. Well, the one that I was talking about, this is called Connect to Authentic Success, and it is available on Amazon.com. In fact, Amazon.com.uk, Canada, most of them, they're on there. You have to actually load them up to each one. And then the other one is, for any of you grandparents or aunties or uncles or parents, this is called Pin and the Magic Butterflies. And my children and I created this about 6 years ago. It's a story about how Pin follows his dream. He has a dream of opening a bar on a Caribbean island. And obviously he's a penguin. So how does that happen? And it shows different people he goes to get advice. So be careful who you get advice from. And then obviously I'm going to leave the end to you. But that is also on Amazon. I think it's like $10. And it's beautifully drawn by my children, but digitalized by a lovely person in Ukraine as well.
I love that. And it sounds like it might be a good book for grownups too. Sometimes
actually
huge
it is
just from kids' books. Yeah.
It's a good one. And if you want to connect with me, it's amandasteadman.com, AmandaSteadman.com. And on that website, I have a little assessment. It's called the Inner Peace Assessment. And so if you go on there, you can fill that out. And at the very end of it, there's some other options for freebie things you can get from me. But that gives you a report on where your blocks are, what your patterns are. So it just gives you a little insight into what might be holding you back if you find that useful. And that's on my website, amandasteadman.com. And then on there, I'm on all the social media. I have a YouTube channel. If you put in Amanda Steadman, you should find me quite easily on there. Yeah, I think that's the best place to get hold of me, amandasteadman.com.
Thank you so much, Amanda. This has been such fun, and I appreciate all of your advice. I'm going to keep my joy point in mind and listen to my body, and go probably stick my feet in the sand and maybe a little of the water this afternoon too. So I've got to do it as much as I can while I'm here. So
perfect.
definitely.
Well, thank you for having me on board, and thank you for sharing your wisdom about sound as well, which is also extremely important. And yeah, the fact that, you know, we're both raising our vibration and putting our life force energy out there. And I just trust that this podcast will reach the right people at the right time, and that you'll move up as well. We look forward to helping you.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, it's a very new podcast, so I'm always looking for new folks as well. So people are interested, they can go to wakingupone.com and fill out the form. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Perfect, Janie. Well, thank you so much for having me, and see you soon.
I had so much fun talking to Amanda. She is a plethora of wisdom and knowledge, and all the many years of doing hypnotherapy and learning about listening to our bodies, learning about how to protect ourselves, how to find our joy points, getting in nature, just so much. So if you got a lot out of this, like I did, please like, subscribe, visit Amanda's site, tell people about Waking Up One. And if you also have a great story to share, or a skill set, or a near-death experience, or something that would be great for our listeners to hear, please fill out the form on wakingupone.com. Thank you so much for being here and listening. I will see you soon.